A scary sight unfolding before the eyes of countless emergency personnel in Mason County on Tuesday. The cab of a tractor-trailer dangling over the side of a bridge, with the driver still inside. The man tasked with the job of going over the side to rescue the driver, Wesley Quinn with the Hurricane Fire Department.
I knew that there's a life in that cab, and I'm pretty good with heights, and I really like the ropes, and I knew I could do it. I had confidence that I could do it, and like I said, I trusted my team that we had on the ropes behind me.
Snowfall in the early hours Tuesday morning made conditions on the road and for the rescue less than desirable, but the countless hours of training Quinn has endured prepared him to go over the edge of the bridge.
Honestly, whenever I finally made the push off the bridge, that was whenever, I don't know how to explain it. I was calm. I knew that I was in good hands. I knew what I had to do. Had the training for this type of situation. Once I got down there to him, I just tried to reassure him and, keep him calm and, so we could get the harness on him and get him out of there.
Hurricane Fire Chief Paul Nabalski says in his 39 years of fire service, he has never came across a situation like the one that unfolded on the lanes of US 35.
Well, we do a lot of training in similar situations, not at that height, but we just apply the small pieces of the puzzle together to finish the whole project at the end. And he was able to do a fantastic job. He put all the pieces together just like he should have, and we had a successful rescue.
Quinn, with the help of several different fire departments from across the area, removed the driver around 10 a.m., roughly 5 hours after the crash was reported. Both Quinn and Nabalski say it took the hands of every first responder on scene from the various departments to ensure the driver made it out.
There was 20 to 25 other responders there. Without those responders there, none of this would have happened. There is no way we could have pulled this off with the 5 tech rescues from Hurricane. It is impossible. Those people need to be commended for their work. It was flawless, seamless, and without it, this would have never have happened.
Kanawha County Prosecuting Attorney Deborah Rusnick says it's no longer correct to call this an accidental shooting.
First-degree murder is an intentional act. It is an act that requires premeditation and deliberation. So to say it was an accident at this point, I think is inaccurate.
After appearing on Tuesday for his involuntary manslaughter and wanton endangerment charges, 18-year-old Jacob Fields was back in front of a magistrate again on Wednesday, this time with an upgraded first-degree murder charge.
The police department continued their investigation very diligently and presented evidence to us that changed our perspective of how this should be charged.
That evidence included a surveillance video from Sheets that appears to show Fields watch Adkins walk by and then waited for her to walk in front of his car. Court records say this is when he raised his Glock and pointed it directly at her before firing. Once they saw this, they brought a witness back in for questioning who said Fields later admitted he did point the gun at Adkins. Investigators have also been made aware of social media videos posted by Fields both this month of him getting a gun, describing it in a caption as, quote, his newfound love, and another earlier in the year from Facebook showing him running and rolling around and pointing what appears to be a gun. Rusnick says it's her office's job to make sure the charges reflect what occurred as evidence becomes available, but right now there are some questions she can't answer.
It is an emotional reaction that you hear from a family when you say, yeah, we've upgraded these charges. The question that you're immediately confronted with is, what was my mother or my sister-in-law or my family member a target?
This is Ohio, but this $80,000 Humvee with $250,000 of electronics in it is West Virginia stuck. The National Guard vehicle was stolen from a locked fenced lot at the Millwood, West Virginia Reserve Center and Armory early in March before it was found high-centered in a gravel and sand pit near Racine, Ohio. Court documents say they found Treston Williams' fingerprint.
It was high-centered. We used a bulldozer to get it out. We recovered the vehicle, had crime scene go ahead and process the vehicle.
Court documents say they found Treston Williams' fingerprint. Fisher questioned Williams and Joseph Dusky, who admitted they conspired to steal it with William Brady McCommon and Ryan McDaniel. Court documents say the conspiracy was hatched out in the basement of one of the suspect's mothers in Ravenswood. It came to a hard end here when the Humvee crashed and got stuck. A suspect implicated Anna Rose Garrity and Abry Lee Pasadena. Troopers say they can put all of them in the stolen Hummer.
It appears they made their way early morning on the 6th, made their way and jumped a fence to get to the back of the motor pool, cut the fencing at the lower portion and then crawled underneath of it. And then they had to take some time to go ahead and grind off a cable lock and an actual lock.
Police said McCommon and McDaniel are apparently in the Guard elsewhere. The Guard confirmed 2 of its members were involved but would not name them. The 6 facing conspiracy, grand theft, and other charges are aged 18 to 21. Even though the Humvee got stuck trying to jump a berm, police don't view this as a joyride, and the theft raises concerns about the security of military hardware in West Virginia.
West Virginians are no strangers to pressure. It turns coal into diamonds, and those who know him best say he's proof of that.
When somebody comes representing, a school or a nonprofit or some kind of philanthropic endeavor and they want a donation or some food or hot dogs is a pretty common one, he's always there to provide it, no question.
Other friends agree if there's a need in the community, they know one man who doesn't hesitate to help.
I was just really overwhelmed, and I'm just still overwhelmed with what he's doing. And I know one of his pages, he said, pray like it depends on God and work like it depends on you. And that just resonated with me.
They've seen his generosity time and time again, but this time it hit closer to home.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. When it was announced SNAP benefits wouldn't go out in November, it was families like the one Jamison Sparks grew up in that would suffer the most.
So I come from a low-income household, single mother, grew up, mother working 2 to 3 jobs at times to support me. We always ate, but it wasn't always the best food. Struggled to pay bills. Multiple times electric was turned off, water turned off, struggled to get stuff for sports equipment, things like that.
He knows what it feels like to be in need. He's lived it. Now he owns 8 grocery stores in the southern West Virginia area. He knew now was his time to step in.
We had a mother in particular in here whose WIC was all she had left for the month. Was visibly upset how she was going to feed her child that was sitting in the cart. And you look at the child and, he's smiling. He's just happy that there's milk in the cart. He doesn't realize what she's going through. And like I said, I was that child.
He took to Facebook, opening up about his past and announcing his mission to help feed hungry children with take-home bags.
Anybody that comes in and expresses the need, we're going to fill the need. We're not going to ask any questions of who, what, where, or why. We're not going to turn anyone away. We want somebody to feel, hey, I need fed. Okay, come grab a bag. You don't have to say anything other than that.
The post spread fast, far beyond West Virginia. The donations started to pour in.
We were around 25K, and that should be enough, for several thousand meals, but realistically, that's maybe a month or 2.
And if the money runs out, Spark says he'll keep going.
$50,000 will come straight from my pocket, and I'm more than happy to do it.
From sleeping on his friends' couches to being someone the community is looking to for hope, the moment isn't lost on any of them.
Just to see that growth and that responsibility and that sense of community fostered in an individual with a background such as his is really an impressive thing.
I think it just really is inspiring for him to don't care about your religion, don't care about your politics. I don't care what you're all about. I'm going to help you.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Maybe it was that pressure that made him stronger. Whatever it was, he wants other kids just like him to know one thing.
I never would have thought at 19 sleeping in the back of a van that I'd be standing here a college graduate and a business owner. But anything that you want to do, you're able to do. Don't let the situation that you're in dictate who you are or where you're going.
What do you have to say to the victim's family?
The Jackson County Sheriff's Office say they were sent to a remote part of the county to find a woman left for dead after receiving a 911 call from 21-year-old Logan Willis stating that he believed he had killed his girlfriend.
He thought he had killed her and left her for dead. Matter of fact, when he had called 911, that was one of the first things he said is, I just had an altercation, I beat this girl, and I think I killed her.
Deputies were able to find the woman by following a blood trail to her body, and that's when they discovered she was in the late stages of pregnancy.
what had happened. It started off as a domestic dispute. We were supposed to meet up to do a custody exchange here of the 5-month-old for the weekend, and things turned south. It escalated to a point to where she was beaten unconscious, strangled, and then drugged to a nearby wooded area.
Willis told deputies he had strangled the victim until she had stopped breathing. Believing she was dead, he tried to hide her body, with the victim confirming it to officers, saying he dragged her by her hair into the woods. She also told them she was losing consciousness in and out, and when she was able to regain it, she tried to go find help.
If you look at this particular set of circumstances, as bad as this was, the whole thing occurred with the couple's 5-month-old child in the back seat.
Willis has been charged with attempt to commit felony murder, malicious wounding, and strangulation. And Sheriff Ross Mellinger says the woman remains in critical condition.
We'll just continue to pray for her and the unborn child this evening, and clearly, they have a long road of recovery ahead of them.
We've really become a good little community in that building. We have nothing that goes on outside where anybody in the public would ever see anything. The windows are covered.
A swingers club in Charleston is getting legal pushback due to its location.
We had a complaining witness came to the planning department. We then investigated. Actually, from their own website, a lot of their own rules indicated that what we believe is an adults-only establishment, that they're regulated by our ordinance, and given the setbacks, they're not in a location that can operate there.
A notice of violation and a cease-and-desist order was sent to the company running the club, Creative Connections LLC, on July 29th. The documents state that the club is a commercial establishment where adults are exposed to sexually explicit conduct. It also states that the current location is in close proximity to a high school, church, and homes. However, people representing the company stated that they are not a business, they're a private social club, which is why they feel the ordinance has been inappropriately applied to the company.
Everything is respectfully and tastefully done. We are not running around like maniacs.
They say the club does not sell food, drinks, or provide entertainment. They operate on Friday and Saturday nights after 8 p.m. and have around 250 members.
Do we know how long they've been operating out of this building specifically?
We do not know how long they've been there. According to the Secretary of State, their corporation has been in existence of March of this year. We were alerted to it this summer.
Creative Connection states they do no local advertising and discretion is always their goal.
Is there anybody that came out with complaints before this meeting was held?
We had one complaining witness that came forward that made us aware of the existence of this facility.
Members of the local church spoke out, sharing concerns they have with the business being in close proximity.
As the pastor, I don't speak for all those who call River Ridge home, but I can assure you that the vast majority of River Ridgers do not want to have an adult entertainment club of any kind in our neighborhood.
An increased law enforcement presence surrounded CAMC General throughout the day after an intense early morning in the ER waiting room.
Yeah, situations like this are extremely chaotic, extremely stressful, and that's why we train constantly for situations like this.
Charleston police say 46-year-old Peter Lilly came into the CAMC General emergency room shortly after midnight asking to be seen for an injury. Sometime later, he then became erratic and threatening in the waiting room.
The male then locked himself in the waiting room bathroom for several minutes, and according to witnesses, he exited the bathroom with a knife in his hand.
This was about 1:40 in the morning as police say Lilly became increasingly erratic and violent, moving furniture, lunging at people and staff, before grabbing a fire extinguisher and spraying people and the room. Charleston police got on scene at 1:43.
The CPD officer ordered the suspect to drop his weapon at that time. The suspect entered a nearby elevator that had just opened up where an employee was present. The suspect began attacking that person inside of the elevator, at which time the officer had to use deadly force to protect that person from becoming seriously injured or killed.
The officer shot and killed Lilly, and police say the worker he had gone after in the elevator ended up uninjured. Chief Dempsey called the incident unfortunate, but said if they hadn't acted, it could have been worse.
Police officers never want to have to take this action, of course, but we are prepared to do that to protect life, and I believe that's what happened here. Our officers' actions were quick and deliberate, and they knew what they had to do, and I believe they saved lives today.
Words. They tell a story. One of the very best to ever put words to use in telling a story on television was Kennie Bass. Kennie had a love for sports at a young age. It launched his decades in broadcasting. He started covering high school football for local radio stations while still a student at Nitro High School. It would lead to a career in television. Kennie was a proud graduate of Marshall University and enjoyed covering the herd. But after several years in sports, Kennie moved into news, where his work would rise to another level. Kennie held many accountable through his outstanding investigative reporting. It was Kennie who would be told where the body of Leslie Marty was buried. He told the story in Kennie fashion, with his gifted writing, voice, and heartfelt passion. It was Kennie at his finest. Kennie had a knack for gaining trust during his time on the air. His work earned him a bevy of honors, including induction into the West Virginia Broadcasting Hall of Fame. While investigative pieces demanded long hours, Kennie still found time to anchor, which he did with a flowing ease. In addition, he enjoyed the lighter side, filing weekly stories on movies and local theater. Kennie himself was a talented actor. He loved to sing and MC events. Kennie was one busy guy, but despite all of his assignments, he still remained a fixture covering high school football. His happiest moment was reporting on his beloved Nitro Wildcats winning the Class AAA football championship. He had a presence for 25 years on Friday Night Football Extra, and each week, Kennie stole the show.
Lama with the ball. Trey Simpkins makes a run for it. He slips through the defense, and they are not going to get him. Call his own number, and they're not going to stop him into the end zone. Touchdown.
It was pure joy spending Friday nights during football season with Kennie. Many times, football and other topics were discussed over food at some of Kennie's favorites, like Jim's in Huntington, Dwight's in St. Albans, and Deals in Nitro. Perhaps Kennie's greatest gift of all was his sense of humor. Making others laugh brought Kennie lots of joy. It has been less than a year since we saluted Kennie during his final day on the air. He was retiring from a business he had been a part of for 40 years. His reflection, like always, was genuine and sincere.
I was a poor kid from Tyler Mountain, West Virginia, never dreaming that I could do something like this. This job has let me travel the country, let me travel the world, and you've allowed me to tell the stories. I learned a long time ago that I probably wasn't going to do very well in this business, so I decided that I would try to do some good. And the thing I'm most hopeful of is that some good has come out of some of the stories that I've been lucky enough to do.
He did more than just good. He did great. Kennie left television news, sports, and entertainment to venture into a new career. Sadly, not long after his departure, Kennie was diagnosed with cancer. The last several months have been hard. Kennie fought to the very end. We've lost a friend. We've lost a treasure. Kennie, your stories will long be remembered. But this is far from the end. Quite simply, it's only the beginning as your journey to the heavens above begins. A place where we know more stories will be told by you, the one and only Kennie Bass. The one and only Kennie Bass.
There were schools from multiple counties on the chopping block this day, and none of them got a reprieve at the state level. Among those approved for closing were Roane County's Geary and Walton Elementary Schools. Roane experienced a significant decrease in student enrollment, and the state board got involved because of a major money problem Parents tried unsuccessfully to convince the state BOE not to axe the schools.
This Board of Education needs to step out of the way and make room for people that want to fight for our children.
Justin Shears, who hated the 4 high school years he spent an hour riding on the bus to Spencer, won't let his children do the same.
I think that we're going to do that for 14 years to these kids for their entire school career. I just will not do it. We will choose another option.
Even county school officials calling for the closures aren't sure it will get them out of a sea of red ink approaching $3 million. Are you fairly confident this will put you in the black?
We're not, because you just don't know what's going to continue to happen with enrollment. I think it gives us a fair shot to get closer to being in the black, but it's years of a process.
Also approved for closings, Verdonville Elementary in Logan County, which was impacted by a hillside slip and major repairs needed for an older building. Parents objected, but the board voted to close it while warning things will likely get worse across the state under the current state aid formula, which is based on student enrollment numbers.
We have to get a legislative fix with regards to the formula, or we're going to continue to have tough conversations as we're having today.
A day when they voted to close schools in Roane, Logan, Barber, Randolph, Upshur, and Wetzel counties. State troopers say gas well tenders spotted a man's body along a dirt road on a ridge in the Amherst-Plymouth Wildlife Management Area about 9 a.m. 2 days earlier, when gas company crews were on the same road, they had not noticed anything. State police, DNR police, and the medical examiner flooded the isolated scene near Bancroft in Putnam County. Troopers identified the dead man quickly, but withheld his name initially.
Right, he is right off of the roadway, but it's a rural area out here off of the main highway 62. Several miles back here, but is right off of a dirt road. We'll turn over every stone to try to determine cause of death and determine what kind of investigation we'll have here.
The body was found 2 miles off West Virginia 62 along a dirt road that is blocked to vehicles normally. An autopsy is expected to provide key answers to this active and ongoing investigation.